problem solving and reasoning. So most work uh, occupations require good problem solving skills. We have the engineer plus architect. Dapat kompleto talaga yan sa paggagawa ng bahay. Because they have to deal with the design of of course, of the house, mga, pag sa mga building, yan, dapat may aesthetic, functional, and it meets safety requirement. Hindi lang basta forman lamang. Engineer plus architect, talagang maganda ang kalalabasan. Kaya, kung kasi yun ang parang ang problema when it comes to the majority of Filipinos, they don't invest in architects. Kung gusto nila ng maganda lamang, kung kinuha lang nila sa internet ang design, mukhang magkakaproblema yan when it comes to the process of building. Kaya yung makikita nyo yung mga mayayaman na mga siguro mga tao yan, they really invest yan. Sa mga mayayaman na bansa, makikita nyo napakalalaking building, it is safe, aesthetic. It meets safety requirement because they ask for engineer and architects. Yeah, for your program na nursing, uh, of course, you have to interview your patients. You take data, their history, their symptoms, saan sila galing, etc. So from those data, you analyze the information to help you formulate the best action objectively. Okay, so the intended learning outcomes construct different types of reasoning to justify statements and arguments made about mathematics and mathematical concepts, clear and logical proofs, and methods and approaches for proving and solving problems. Organize mathematical debates about intuition, proof, and certainty. So first, inductive reasoning. Conclusion based the on the examination of specific examples, and the conclusion formed is called conjecture. So, kumaga procedure lang on the figure, observe and look for a pattern. Next, analyze what is really happening in the pattern. And lastly, make a conclusion or conjecture. So, kapag ilalapat na natin siya sa math, uh, when you examine a list of numbers and predict the next number in the list according to some pattern you have observed, or there are certain cases that you will follow a certain procedure. Yan, yung mga common difference, common ratio, yan, divide, may ima-minus, yan. You are using inductive reasoning. So again, inductive reasoning, examining the specific, then forms a conclusion or conjecture. So, pag nilapat na natin sa mathematical problem, yan, use the data in the table and yan, inductive reasoning to answer. So, yan, Galileo Galilei used inductive reasoning to discover that the time required for the pendulum to complete a swing, which is period of the pendulum, depends on the length of the pendulum in heartbeats. Yeah. Question: if a pendulum has a length of 49 units, what is its period? So, in the table, each pendulum has a period that is, ano kaya? Ano makikita niyong pattern? Again, each pendulum has a period that is the square root of its length. So, yung ating conclusion, yung conjecture natin, yeah, kumbaga, a pendulum with a length of 49 units will have a period of square root of 7 heartbeats. So, on the second question, if the length of a pendulum is quadrupled, what happens to its period? Yeah. Again, we look at the table. Yeah. In the table, a pendulum with a length of 4 units has a period that is twice of a pendulum with a length of 1. Yeah, a pendulum with a length of 16 units has a period that is twice that of a pendulum with a length of 4 units. So, kumbaga, it appears that quadrupling the length of pendulum doubles its period. So another example, a tsunami is a sea wave produced by an underwater earthquake. The height of a tsunami as it approaches land depends on the velocity of the tsunami. So question, what happens to the height of a tsunami when its velocity is doubled? So looking at the table, so when the tsunami speeds doubles, the height is twice the square of the multiple. So again, what happens to the height of a tsunami when its velocity is doubled? The height is twice the square of the multiple. Again, the next, what should be the height of a tsunami if its velocity is 30 feet per second? So dahil ang ating velocity ay hanggang 24 lamang, ang ating height 64, so makikita natin na i-add lang ang 3 dito sa velocity. Yan. Add 3, yan, 6 plus 3, 9 plus 3, 12, and so on. So 24 plus 3, 27. 27 plus 3, 30 feet per second. So going to the height of tsunami in feet. Yan. 4, 9, 16, 25. So we have observed na itong mga 4, 9, 16, 25 ay the square of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So dahil dalawa yung missing natin ay 8. Ano ang square ng 9? 81. The square of 10, 100. So if 30 feet, then what would be the number? Kumbaga, the next number that can be squared ay 10. So, 100. So again, the height of tsunami if the velocity is 30 feet per second ay 100. The next, deductive reasoning. The process of reaching a conclusion by applying general principles and procedures. So, kung sa kanina, ang inductive, specific to general, deductive, baliktad, general ideas to specific conclusion. Yan, ilapat sa mathematical problem, mga examples of each. Yan, during the past 10 years, a tree has produced plums every other year. Last year, the tree did not produce plums. So this year, the tree will produce plums. So the answer, this argument reaches a conclusion based on specific examples. So it is an inductive reasoning. Specific examples, hindi nag-produce. Kumbaga, in the span of the 10 years, yung na-collect nilang data, nag-produce, hindi, nag-produce, hindi. So, on this year, the tree will produce plums because they based it on the specific data from the span of 10 years. Yeah. Second, all room renovation cost more than estimate. The contractor estimated that my room renovation will cost 80,000 to 350,000. Thus, my room will cost more than 350,000. Because the conclusion is a specific case of general assumption, this argument is deductive. Again, the conclusion is a specific case of general assumption, therefore deductive. Yeah, intuition simply from the term knowing without reasoning. Intuition, knowing without reasoning. Yeah, proof and certainty. Itong proof na ay na-define na natin kanina. So, certainty, ito ay certain. Talagang has a total security from error or no doubt ang certainty. Yeah, a mathematical proof is a list of statements in which every statement is one of the following. Yeah, an axiom or accepted truth. Second, derived from previous statements by a rule of inference or these rules of interference are a logical form or a guide consisting of premises or hypotheses and draws a conclusion. And lastly, a previously derived theorem. So there is a hierarchy of terminology that gives opinions about importance of derived terms. Yeah, a proposition is a theorem of lesser generality or of lesser importance, just like what we have mentioned earlier, either true or false. Ang ating proposition. Lemma is a theorem whose importance is mainly as a key step in something deemed to be a greater significance. Kumbaga, proven statement, greater significance. Corollary is a consequence of a theorem, usually one whose proof is much easier. Easier ang corollary. Kumbaga, readily deduced. Precise statement. So, how to prove a certain mathematical statement? Yeah. In outline form, in paragraph form. In outline form, nakabulleted. Yeah. Then, ending it, the statement, therefore, Q period D, symbol rectangle means end of proof. In paragraph form, same content pa lang din, in paragraph lang talaga na form. Same pa din ang ending of the proof. The symbol of rectangle. So, examples. So, if x is a number with 5x plus 3 equals 33, then x is equals 6. So, proving, assume that x is a number with 5x plus 3 equals 33. Adding negative 3 to both sides of an equation will not affect. So, pag nilapat na natin yung negative 3, ang matitira 5x equals 30. So, now dividing both member of the equation by 5, 5 po ito, will not affect the equality. So, 5x over 5 equals 30 over 5. Ang matitira na lang, x is equals to 6. So, yan. Therefore, if 5x plus 3 equals 33, then x is 6, end of proof. Then, in paragraph form lang, ganun lang din po ang content. So, kinds of proof. Yan, direct proof, a mathematical argument that uses a rule of inference to derive the conclusion from the premises. Indirect proof, contrapositive, which a statement to be proved is assumed false And if the assumption leads to an impossibility, then the statement assumed false has been proved to be true. Proof by example, where the statement is disproved simply by exhibiting an example that shows the statement is not always true. Proof by contradiction, assuming your implication is not true, then deriving a contradiction. So the following slides will be the examples of these kinds of proof. Yeah, the example of the direct proof. Yeah, prove that if x is an even integer, then uh, x to the second power or x squared minus 6x plus 5 is odd. Yeah, by proving, assume that x is an even integer. By definition of an even integer, x is equals to 2a kasi even and a as the integer. For some a is an element of z or z represents an integer. So going to the computation. Yeah. Nilapat ang value of x to the equation. So, yeah, pinag-times then simplify. So, therefore, 2 times 2a squared minus 6a plus 2 plus 1 equals 2k plus 1. So, x squared minus 6x plus 5 is odd. End of proof. Yeah, indirect proof example, if x is divisible by 3, then x is divisible by 6. Assume x is not divisible by 3, then x is not equal to 3k for all k is an element of z. It follows that x is not equal to 2m times 3 for m is an element of z. So x is not equal to 6m for all m is an element of z. Therefore, x is not divisible by 6. End of proof. Pagdating dito sa proving kasi dapat tandaan nyo lahat ng meron sa algebra at geometry. Kasi parang pinaglahok-lahok na yan. Kaya kailangan sa ulo yung pasikot-sikot ng algebra at geometry para makapag-prove. Yan. Proof by counterexample. Prove or disprove. All prime numbers are odd. Negation. Some prime numbers are even. So, negating the opposite of a given mathematical statement is if a statement is true, then its negation is false. So, proving let n is equals to 2 by definition of a prime. Ano yung factors na meron sa 2? So, 2 and 1. So, we could say that 2 is a prime number. Since we have found an even prime number, so the original statement is not true. Yeah, kumbaga, proof by contradiction. Now, recall that if P is false, then P going to Q is always true. Thus, the only way our implication can be false is if P is true, then Q is false. So, if we let P to Q be a theorem, a proof by contradiction is given this way. Assume P is true. Second, suppose that Q is also true. Then try to arrive at a contradiction. Therefore, Q is true. And then example, prove B contradiction that if x plus x equals x, then x is 0. Assume that x plus x equals x. Suppose that x is not equal to 0. So, pinag-plus po natin ang x dito, kaya may 2x. May kaakibat na value itong x. Kung yan ay multiplication, dx squared. Pero but in addition property ay 2x. It has a value of 1. Yeah. So 2x equals x since it is not equal to 0. We could multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of x. Ni-reciprocal itong katabi ng 2x equals. Now, multiplying the reciprocal of x, it follows that 2 is equals to 1, which is a contradiction. Therefore, the original implication is prevented to be true. End of proof. So again, improving. Kailangan po ay grasp natin ang algebra at geometry. So that's all for problem solving.